Unit 6, Period 6, discussing the Gilded Age, the period from the end of the Civil War and Reconstruction to the beginning of the 20th century, or the end of the end of the 20th century. This section 2, we're going to talk about the growth of big business. The Gilded Age is called the Gilded Age because gilded means like gold. And so what the characteristic of this period of time is that by definition that 90% of the nation's wealth was controlled by 3% of the individuals. So what that means is that a small percentage of Americans were living lives lavishly like these ladies in this picture here, or in houses like this. And so this is the reason why it's called the Gilded Age, because Europeans looking from the outside in thought the United States was very wealthy and the people living in the United States were very wealthy. But in fact, most of the population of the United States was serving these 3% of individuals. An example of this is John D. Rockefeller. John D. Rockefeller was known as a robber baron. A robber baron is a term for industrialists who used unfair business practices to form monopolies. In order to form monopolies, the way they would do it is they would take advantage of their workers by paying them low wages, by having them work in dangerous working conditions. And, you know, if you know anything about Robin Hood, Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave to the poor. Well, the robber barons stole from the poor and just kept it for themselves. Rockefeller was able to do this through the formation of Standard Oil. And the way monopolists would be able to take over all businesses in an industry, they had two methods that they used to do this, to form monopolies or trusts. Again, a monopoly is where one business takes over all the other businesses in an industry. And so this political cartoon here shows a very angry looking octopus with Standard Oil drum on its head. And notice that it has its tentacles into Europe and into Washington, D.C. So it's not only controlling other businesses, but it's controlling our government and its laws. There's two ways that monopolists would do this. They would do this, robber barons would do this through horizontal or vertical integration. Horizontal integration is the most common, and that's where one business would take over all the other businesses in an industry. The way they would get enough money to be able to do this is through vertical integration. The example I have on the chart here is in the meat industry. You would own the cattle, you would own the slaughterhouse, you would own the refrigerated railroad cars, the cooled warehouses, the meat packing plants, and even the delivery wagons to people's homes where you would deliver the processed meat. So basically, you're taking the middleman out, and therefore you can lower prices. And once you lower prices enough, you can drive the other businesses out of business. This is the explanation for how businesses grew during the Gilded Age. And this concludes this lesson.